Thank you so much for having me here today. It is a pleasure to be able to share my story to TED Talk at City University of Hong Kong. Before we get started, today I'm going to be sharing about my story and everything that happens after cetaceans die. I know it's very sad, but it's also a passionate story too. When you guys go to the beach, you usually picture yourself being with a nice ocean scenery and dolphins swim around you, and that is very beautiful. But in fact, you have an equal chance to see a dolphin stranded on the beach too. Because there are so many of them, many cetaceans stranding per day in our world. And I realized this because when I was working at the Department of Marine and Coastal Resources in Thailand, and this place is responsible for marine mammal and sea turtle stranding from all over the country. And with the power of statistics and geographical information, we were able to generate this map, showing you the number and the location of cetacean stranding. And every year we got about 250 animals stranded from all over the country. And the map showing you here using the data just only from 2020 stranding. And as you can see here, so many of them stranding that almost cover the entire nation. And this is just the only country, Thailand. And think about the entire world. Thailand is a pretty small country located in Southeast Asia. As compared to the world size, it's a lot bigger. So think about how many more stranding are happening around the world. And now it leads to the question, and what happened to them after they die? Some of them might get stranded in abandoned places and nobody can see it, like mangrove forest, the offshore ocean far away from the mainland, or even sink into the underwater world. And these will get rotten and scavenged by the natural processes. But the rest of them that can be seen by human will be reported to the authorized organizations such as government or university to do the further step of investigation. And now marine life veterinarian and veterinary pathologist, people like me, we perform necropsy, which is the animal autopsy to explore what's going on inside the animal body and what could cause the death. And we do everything as many as we can do. We record the morphological features to be a database of each species. We observe all abnormalities and come across with the disease list, what could cause it. And also we collect the tissue sample and send it to the labs to see things that we couldn't interpret with our eyes during necropsy. And I know all this these procedures sound very easy and very systematic, but it's not that easy when we need to deal with the big size patient like this one. And this is one of my patients, a 14-meter common bryce whale found stranded on this big shipping vessel. And to do this big whale necropsy is not easy at all. It required many elements, including the knowledge of cetaceans anatomy, to help preventing us getting confused or lost by enormous sized internal organs, and also providing us wear on the animal to cut it open. Otherwise, you will spend the whole day just to find where the heart is, where the kidney is. It looked very confusing. And also network, as you can see here, so many people helping me. In this case, I got a lot of help from many people because even though we know everything about diseases and also anatomy, but we cannot manage our situations. So I got local villagers, the local fishermen, the scuba diver, certified scuba diver here, more than 5 people, helping me wrapping the whale's body, and also the big vehicles and the operator to lift the animal above the water and transport it to the necropsy site. And as you can see here, the whale is so huge, it couldn't fit the truck initially. So we tried a couple of times to find a proper vehicle to transport this whale to the necropsy site. And the time working in Thailand is like working in the heating oven. It is very hot. When I was doing this, it was about 40 degrees Celsius, which equal to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So we need to do things as fast as possible. So we gathered about 15 vet and vet students just to open up the carcass like this. And at the end, I was able to determine the cause of death of this animal. So when I cut the animal open and I punctured by putting a knife into the whale chest and then took it out and then boom, all the pus just drained out like waterfall. So I realized and figured at that moment that the whale got hit by this giant vessel transporting the car across the country. And then the whale has been suffering for many days at the tip of this giant vessel here because of the rib fractures, the broken fin, and causing accumulation of the pus in the thoracic cavity before Sally passed away. And this is a sad story, I understand that, but to be able to understand all of this, it happened because of postmortem investigation after the whale died. And the second example, I believe that many of you might have heard about the plastic bags sneaking into the water draining system and then go to a bigger river and then go to the ocean eventually. And these plastic bags look very similar to the jellyfish when they float against the ocean wave. And it's very attractive to sea turtle species. And as you can see here, the jellyfish in the bottle on the left-hand side, it looks very similar to the plastic bag floating in a bottle on your right-hand side. Even our eyes couldn't distinguish that, neither animal. However, the cetaceans also become a prey of this tragedy sometime, not only sea turtle. So this is one of my colleagues, Dr. Weerapong. She's a great mentor of mine. And she got this short fin pilot whale live stranding in Thailand too, and took care of this for 24 hours, many days. And what she was doing that it needs so much effort to be in the water all day and night, lift the animal up above the water for breathing, give the oral medication and food during the rehabilitation, and also monitor all vital signs. But the whale succumbed from the severe condition of emaciation and chronic illness and sadly passed away. And when Dr. Uy, opened up the carcass, she suddenly teared up by this. I saw some plastic bag, but not like this, fully filled plastic bags. This is 85 plastic bags fully packed in the whale's stomach and block everything, the oral medication, the food along the GI tract. So the whale succumbed and died. I'm not surprised about that. And these plastic bags were black color plastic bag, but the color originally from the blood, the digested blood that leaked because of the severe gastric ulcerations by these plastic bags catching around the wall of the stomach and stain all over it. And we were able to finalize all of this because of the postmortem investigation as well. However, postmortem investigation is not just about doing this necropsy. Doing necropsy provides only 10% of the knowledge to determine the cause of death. The rest of them, 90%, require the additional test to understand the physiological and pathological changes in the cellular level, and also to see the causative agents that we couldn't interpret with our bare eyes during necropsy. Like this case. So this is a section of the lung from the dolphin. I know you guys have never seen the lung of the dolphin before, but this is the histology, how it's looked like. On your left-hand side, it how the normal dolphin's lung should look like, very empty, very basic. Those structures called alveoli, which is the empty structure, just to trap the air and then exchanging the oxygen when the animal breathes in and breathes out, and exchange it with the nearby vessels. And as you can see from your right-hand side, this is how the stranded dolphin's lung look like, very messy. All regions is occupied by white blood cells, cell death, cell debris, and no space for breathing in and breathing out. And also we were able to visualize the viral infection by doing the immunohistochemistry, the spatial antibody staining, that we could see the viral infection in the brow staining, as you can see here, in the vital cells of the lung. And this indicating the existence of the morbid virus and also the possibility to spread the disease to the other animal. So understand outer structure and also the tissue architecture helps us elucidate an actual cause of death of this animal and understand what happened, why they die. But I have been working as a marine life veterinarian long enough to see varied cases like the boat collision and also the foreign body injection. Some of them is pretty hard because it needs the additional taste a lot to finally confirm what caused it, like the viral infection one. But I still got the whole body anyway, not just a part of the body like this. In this case, I got a call from the police officer one day, say, hey, we got a suspicious meat that looked like dolphin or whale. Would you want to come over and join our investigation? So I was sure. And when I got there, we were investigating together. It was just a normal international commercial fishing ship that just crossed the country without a permit. So when we were looking at that, we found these giant pieces of the meat with the black skin intact. I was pretty positive at that moment that it must be some kind of cetaceans because of the dark red meat here. And this dark red meat occurred because of the high myoglobin concentration in the cetacean, help them to do deep diving because of the oxygen consumption needs a lot, and this myoglobin helped them to do that. So doing this, I don't have the concrete enough evidence to prove my hypothesis. So I took all the suspicious sample back and then sent some to the forensic pathology laboratory. And then this required just a basic theory, which is we use the small amount of the remaining DNA in the part of the animal, in this case, the muscular DNA, to be amplified and then see how sequences of the suspicious DNA matches to the DNA from the sequence of the species database. And after waiting for a week, I was able to finalize that these suspicious meats were from the false killer whale species, Pseudoauga crescent. And this species, we have this around the world and including the Southeast Asian water. Yeah, I was able to do this because of the postmortem investigation with some further techniques of molecular analysis. And at the end, when we finished working with the cetacean's body, the body and the visceral organ are decomposed over time. But the bones still are valuable resource anyway to do the various studies. So we usually clean up the bone, polish them, and keep them in the museum collection. And the bone can be used for many studies like adaptation and also evolution of the whale in the underwater conditions, such as they reduce the extremities, but we can still see some residue of the bone of the hind limb. Or we can still see some of the finger bones in the pectoral fin of this whale. And also we can keep these bones in the city museum collection and get the urban people engaged more and understand better about how important of this marine mammal conservation and also ocean conservation. So after we tell you all about this postmortem investigation and stuff, the final process is to gather all postmortem information together, categorize it and see what is the major threat of this animal, what makes them stranded, and what we could do more to protect the rest of them that are still living. This is a great example of this freshwater Irrawaddy dolphin in this lake, the landlocked freshwater lake located in the southern part of Thailand called Songkhla Lake. Marine veterinarian and marine biologist has been working long enough to understand the major threat of this population, which is this one. The fishing gear entanglement, particularly this case, the giant catfish net. Because of the giant catfish and the Irrawaddy dolphin share the same habitat and are almost similar in size. So when the local fishermen place their gear in the lake, sometimes it's just off target and trap the dolphin in state. So we pull all this data together, made the report and pass it to the National Congress. And we finally use it to update the regulation of the fishing gear usage in this lake and also in the ocean, and announce this lake to be the marine protected area to protect the rest of them that are still living in this population. So after I tell you all about what happened after cetaceans die, the main goal of this is to protect them from the upcoming extinction and also to understand about their animal welfare. And I hope that you guys gain the new ideas, the new experience, not just only what happened after cetaceans die, but what we could do more to protect the rest of them that are still living and can be extincted in our generation. And what happened after cetaceans die is not just going to be the end, but it's going to be the beginning of the marine mammal conservation in the future. Thank you.